Hi, everybody. My name is Peyton Lauderdale, and I am one of the co-founders of Gathering Hope. And I want to welcome you to Slaying the Stigma, which is a video series to encourage other moms who've experienced miscarriage and infant loss. But also, this is a series to share with others in your community, to help educate them, to help stimulate some good conversation, and just share about a topic that affects almost 1 in 4 women, but also is an important thing for people who want to support those in their life who've experienced this. Today, I have Hallie Scott with me, and she is an author and a therapist, and so I'm so excited to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
I'm excited about it. Hallie, I'm going to just turn it over to you. So I would love for you to share a little bit about what you do, about your family, your passions, just introduce us to you, and then introduce us to Abby and share as much as you're comfortable about her.
Okay. Well, my name is Hallie. I'm a licensed therapist in California. I have been doing this for, sad to say, 20 years. And in the process, I've remarried my wonderful husband. We've been married for almost 14 years.
Okay.
And then back in 2009, our daughter was stillborn.
Okay.
And our daughter, Abby, was stillborn. Through that journey, we felt called. That's not true. After about 2 years of healing, I felt called to helping other women.
Okay.
Because of my lack of, I couldn't find good help. And so
That's
out
really
of
common.
that,
yeah.
So out of that, I decided I felt called to be that good help.
Okay.
So my, I don't want to say it's a passion because
okay.
I wish it wasn't. I wish I wasn't just like all of us. I wish
100%
we weren't
relate to
this
that feeling.
Yes. So, but since then we have not had any living children.
Okay.
So my husband and I travel. We have our dogs. We have one dog right now, and we travel. And we have decided just to see what the beauty of the world holds for us. So
do you guys travel internationally or throughout the country, or like where's your place you guys have been?
We travel a lot. So from California, we travel a lot to the Oregon coast because it's beautiful.
Yes.
We were supposed to go international last year, and then the world shut down.
Same.
Right. World shut down. This year we're still hoping and praying to get to Europe. So we are going to see all that we can before we are too old to see this world.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
My in-laws love to travel like that too. And we are just kind of starting that journey. So I was supposed to go to Israel last year.
Oh.
Yeah. So
yeah. That's on my bucket list.
Me too. And now I'm like, is that going to be a thing that we get to do? I don't even know.
Yeah. We're supposed to go to Italy this year. I don't know. We'll see.
I love Italy so much.
I love Italy so much. I love it. So we'll see. We're supposed to do a cruise across in Germany. We'll see.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. And nothing, and we know this better than anybody, nothing is promised anymore, right?
Nothing, right? That's the first lesson you learn. You don't plan for your future.
Yeah.
You just kind of live in the moment.
Yeah.
And then as you continue, you can start planning a little bit in your future and just see.
Right.
Yeah.
If you would, can you kind of share a little bit? I know you kind of go through it in the first couple of chapters of your book, but share a little bit about your journey with Abby.
So we got pregnant, obviously. And I had a really normal, healthy pregnancy. I felt really good. And then so Abby was delivered on a Sunday. The previous Friday, I had gone into my normal doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm.
I was having non-stress testing done. So that was done. She was looking good. I happened to have an ultrasound that day and she was looking good. And they were telling me she was practicing her breathing, which I was very excited to hear because I didn't know babies did that in utero.
Yeah. I don't think I did.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look at that. And then on that Sunday morning, I woke up thinking I was in labor, which was scary for me because she was breech. So I had already had a C-section scheduled.
Okay.
So I woke up thinking I was in labor. And then when we got to the hospital, found out there was no heartbeat.
Mm.
So we got there at, I think, 8, and she was delivered at 11:30, 11:15.
Oh, wow.
So I had a C-section. And people ask me why. And I say this in sort of this, what was going on for me was I needed to hold her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't want to wait up to 48 hours to deliver. And because of my, I don't know if I knew this or if I'd heard this but I heard you can't deliver babies who aren't living because bad things can happen. So I was like, let's just get her out. I want to hold her. I was already scheduled for a C-section, so that wasn't shocking to me.
Okay.
So, and then we got to be with her for the day. Had some family come in.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Got some pictures. Pictures I think are important. I know.
I 100% agree.
100%. I'm going to put this out there. Some moms don't want pictures, but I would 100% please get a picture. Please get a picture.
I agree.
Yeah.
I had, so when my son passed away, I was in the middle of a normal birth, and I had a photographer with me. And so we have these beautiful pictures, and we had no idea how important they were going to be to us.
Yes.
And so I just feel so fortunate that we have them. But you're right. I hear, so I have a friend who works with Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep.
Yes, I love that organization.
Me too. I love what they do. And I know that a lot of times they will encourage parents, you never have to look at these pictures, but if you want to, let's do it. You know, let's take these pictures. And so they're there if you decide 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, that you want to change your mind, they're here. So yes, I agree. Yeah.
100%. And the photographers from Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep are so respectful.
They are.
Oh, could not.
Did they come take pictures for you?
They did.
Oh, good.
They did. This gentleman, I think his name is John. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It was a rough day.
That's totally normal. Like my friend who works there, she's like, sometimes parents can't remember if it was even a man or a woman because of what we're going through. Yeah.
Yes. But love them. Love them. Tell your friend thank you from all of us. Thank you.
I will, absolutely. Yeah. So you guys got some pictures.
Yes. And then we left 3 days later.
Okay.
So it was.
Did you do a funeral or what is that for you guys?
I chuckle because while I was in the hospital, my husband was doing all these things that I had no idea. So bless him.
Yes.
We chose not to have a memorial service with people outside the family.
Okay.
We did a very private, she was cremated.
Okay.
So we did a very private sending off of her ashes.
Okay.
Which was perfect for us. We kind of were in this place of, I don't know if I can memorialize her life when I don't know what that means yet. I don't know the impact she had yet.
Yeah.
So we chose to do it that way. It was, lovely for what it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you guys did that, just, keeping it small.
Yeah, it was. And my in-laws live in a beautiful place. So we went there and it was great.
I love
So
that.
she's always there for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
still live there then?
They do. And that home will be in the family forever. So she will always have a place.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I love that for you guys.
Yeah.
So after Abby was born, you were a therapist before that, right?
I was.
So if you can share about like your journey for looking for help and then that shift to like, I'm going to be the good help.
Yes.
A little bit about
yeah. And I apologize too. I talk a lot with my hands, so sorry.
Same.
Hey. So after Abby passed away, my husband and I were in a good place. It wasn't, I knew being a therapist that couples struggle. We weren't that couple. But about 2 months after Abby passed, I went back to work.
Okay.
So I had changed my client load. I could see only a few clients, and they were clients that I could be with rather than clients I couldn't be with in the room.
Yes.
And then I just was feeling all the angst of losing Abby, carrying other people's things. And so we sought help, and it was traumatic. We went, I think, 3 times. And she was traumatizing. The questions were traumatizing. The comments were traumatizing. And in my book, I talk about, what to say and what not to say. And she kind of checked all the boxes of what not to say for me.
Wow.
And partly I was surprised because this was an older woman. I'm sorry to all of us older women. And so I assumed she knew,
Right.
She knew about pregnancy. She knew about births. She knew about all the things. And I was mistaken. And this is coming on the heels of 2 months of friendships that were shifting because of my loss. And as a therapist who has therapists surrounding her,
Right.
everything just felt wobbly. And I was nervous to reach out because comments were hurtful. And then when I wanted to process the hurtful comments, I was told things like, well, you just need to see the intention behind it. And I'm thinking, I can't do that. I don't have the energy to do that. I'm barely holding on. So I just needed something different and needed people to be able to sit with me in what was going on in the moment. And because they couldn't do that, I don't think it's out of spite or out of their not wanting to. I think they just didn't know.
Inability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And praise God, they've never been through this.
Absolutely.
And on the other hand, please learn something different. So
it's like what the whole reason we do this.
Yes. The whole reason we're doing this, the whole reason that we are saying, let's change the conversation. Let's change the ability to be. So out of all of those experiences, it took me about 2 years when I could be with moms who lost their kids.
Okay.
But then when they started coming, or even dads, when they started coming in to my office, I kept hearing the same stories. So that's when I really dug into, we need to change this.
Well, what was the commonality of things that you were hearing?
The commonalities were, let's compare this loss to something else so that I understand what you're going through, which don't.
Yeah.
We will help you get over this loss. which
Okay.
you can't, so don't. And I don't want to get over this loss.
I don't, yeah.
So, right. So don't say that. And a lot of speaking for God, when those comments can be really hurtful. And when there's moments of anger at the situation or anger at God, I understand who God is. And I'm speaking for women, not just me.
Right.
But we understand who God is. And we also understand that God is big enough to hold my anger right now. Of course, he's not up there. Think up there. I do envision him up there. So
yeah,
So
I think most of us do.
We don't envision him up there looking over us thinking, oh, haha, I did this to you. We know that he's up there holding us in all of his infinite wisdom. But in this moment, let me be angry and don't say, well, this was God's will, and be okay with that. Right? Don't the other thing that we moms don't need is a reason. This didn't happen for a reason. Let's not look for one.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of settle into the tension of not knowing. You know?
That's where I had to end up. And I think that, and I've shared this a couple of times on this series, but I think every once in a while we get little glimpses of like, not necessarily why, but like, why did this happen? But more like, okay, this is what can happen because that happened. Those are two different things in my book.
Yes. Yes.
But I think every once in a while we do get a little piece here and there, you know.
I agree. Absolutely agree. And those are lovely little gifts, I think.
Yeah.
But still not reasons.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. We have to become okay with that.
There's so much tension of like holding so many different emotions and facts and emotions in pregnancy and pregnancy loss, miscarriage. There's so many, there's just a lot of holding tension for a lot of different things. I'm sure as a therapist, you're like, yes.
Yes. Just yes, all the yes.
So when I've talked to a few other therapists, there's this agreement that this type of grief is different than basically any other kind of grief. So since I see you nodding your head, would you share a little bit about why you think that is the case?
If it's okay, I'm going to share it from my own personal experience.
Sure. This is not anything I can do at all. It's like, I'm so interested in this topic, so I'm just kind of like asking for me.
So a little bit of self-disclosure, as opposed to the book that I wrote.
Sure.
I have been through a divorce, which was super painful, as a result of cheating, which was super painful. I've lost both my parents. I've lost my grandparents. They've all passed away.
Right.
I don't like using lost because we know where they are. And all of those losses are something that we grow up expecting.
Sure.
Right. We grow up knowing that these losses are normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so these losses we can incorporate into our psyche or internal world, if you will,
mm-hmm.
as this is human nature. This is how it's supposed to go. Even in the divorce and, for lack of a better term, betrayal throughout that relationship, you can heal from that. You can recognize my place in that. You can recognize the human nature of that, and you can put that where it belongs. And then you hear that your baby doesn't have a heartbeat, or you are, for some, going to have a miscarriage, and there's nowhere to put that. There's no life experience to say, oh, this is what I anticipated. And so you go into hearing there is no heartbeat. You're going to be delivering your baby who should not be delivered yet. And our whole brain kind of shifts into, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
So all the trauma responses come into play. And then, because we don't have human experiences for this, or life experiences, we don't know how to process it. So we're grabbing onto all these old ways, coping skills, if you will, to process it, and they aren't working. So then we feel even crazier.
Yes.
So then we have to figure out new ways. And so then we go searching for new ways, but our support system only knows the old ways.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So there is where we just kind of float.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I have a hair. Sorry.
You're so my kind of person, Hallie.
So I think that is why this is so different.
Yeah.
I can even say, and I don't think I put this in my book, when Abby died, the crying even felt different. The depth of it, right? It felt different. And so in moments today, or in life today, when I cry, it feels different, but there are moments that will take me right back to being in that hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're further along in your journey, and so than I am. My son would be 7 this year. And so it's refreshing to me. I know that's a weird phrase to use, refreshing, to hear that is still the case for you, not because I want that for you, but because it makes me feel like, okay, so I'm going to keep doing this, and it's not weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's normal, and it's okay. And I think part of our message to all moms is that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I 100% agree about the crying. Like I can always tell, even if it's like it's further back in my mind about what my tears are about. They feel different. My face hurts all the way across, even if it's like just a few tears and just for a few. Like they hurt so much more coming out of my eyes.
Mine is all in the back of here, and it just comes forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like I have on an eye mask of pain. And it's almost instant. Instant. Yeah.
And it comes from, like you said, nowhere. I don't know where this is coming from.
Yep.
But it's okay. And if we can allow it to just be what it is, that's okay too.
Wow. I feel like I should be like paying $140 an hour or whatever it is.
Yay.
In the interview, I'm like, okay, I can carry on about my day now.
Excellent. Yes, that means I've made my day good. I love that.
Hallie, what has been the most surprising part about your journey so far?
I think it's there are so many, it's hard to grasp one.
Mm-hmm.
I think mostly it's people and how they either ride alongside you or don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I think because of my therapist training, I kind of operate in a way of, this is people, and like we don't judge people, but these are these are attributes of this person or this person or this person. And I think the most surprising thing is recognizing that some of those attributes aren't what I thought they were for certain people.
Can you tell me more about what you mean by that? Can you dive a little deeper on that?
Sure.
Without calling
Oh, you mean
people
make
out.
sense? Oh, makes sense. Like the people I thought could rally didn't.
Okay.
And the people who I thought wouldn't rally sometimes did.
Mm.
Or, and I think this goes to the baby loss mom wondering if we're too much for another person and our emotions are too much. But I always tell people not to read people's minds, but I do it all the time, just FYI.
I bet.
Just so you know. Reading into what did that actually mean, and so like carrying that and then finding out that I was right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that surprises me, and I think the other surprise is, even though and I say this in my book, as baby loss moms, we get strong enough to carry our grief, that when those tears do come and they come out of nowhere, and it sometimes surprises me, like, why is this happening now? I expect it to happen around this time or this time or this time, and like, why now? And then you have to, well, I often go back to try and figure out why. So I think that surprises me too.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
I feel the same about that.
Yeah.
What would you tell a mom who's new to this journey of being a baby loss mom?
I would say that, one, you're not crazy. You think you are, but you're not. And two, give yourself a lot of grace. Don't judge yourself for words or thoughts, or even if you're so angry today, it's okay. You won't be forever.
That's good.
You're okay.
Would any of that change for a mom who's a little further along in her journey? What would you say to her?
I think I would say, we got this.
Mm-hmm.
We can do this. We can do the hard. We can do the not so hard. We can do it. Yeah. I would often want to say, like, you're not alone, but I think in the moment you feel really alone. And I would want that to change.
Right.
But further along, I think you find your community and build on that community, man.
Yeah. I love that sentiment of finding your community. For women who haven't, like, where do they start? I mean, I know women who've come to Gathering Hope, who have been carrying this not entirely alone. Their spouse may know, but their spouse may not have been able to support them through that. They just don't have the ability or the understanding. And they've been doing this alone for 10, 20 years, so how does a person go about, like, looking for that and finding it? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. First, it's tragic if we have to be 10 years out from this alone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think what I would say to them is, start talking. You know what? Start speaking your truth.
Yeah.
And your community will rise up. The people who fall away, they're not your community. So when you start speaking, you will find those people. Because, and I'm going to assume this was true for you after you lost your son. that when we started speaking our stories, people would say, oh, that happened to me. Oh, that happened to my sister's friend. So those people start rising up.
Yes.
And then you know the people you can connect with and talk with.
Yes.
And
that's why we have an organization.
Yes.
I didn't even know that people were quiet about it.
Yes.
Because I just talked about, like, he's my kid. I'm going to talk.
Yes. Abby is my kid. Say her name.
Yeah. And so I'm going to keep talking about him, even though he's not growing up beside me. He's still one of my children. And I talk about my kids a lot. You know?
Excellent mothering. I love it.
I mean, I just didn't know that people didn't talk about this. And when I started to get, like, we have a video that kind of explains the origin of Gathering Hope, but just to share it with you, like, I started getting letters in the mail from people that I'm like, I've known you for years, and I did not know this about you.
Wow.
And they're, you know, they would say, my child would be 20 years old now. And I'm like, really?
Yes. Yes.
You know? And so there's just so much empowerment. And I love what you're saying. Like,
do you know that
talking?
Just talking. My parents had a son that passed away before I was born. I didn't know about him until I was 12 years old.
Well,
they didn't talk about him. I had a brother I didn't know about until 12 years old. Like, let's just start talking.
Yes.
Let's talk. Right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
So just start speaking their names.
Mm-hmm.
And to all those women who think they can't, then call me up and say their names. And we will chat.
I love that. I have like chills from hearing that. Speaking of talking, since this series serves as not only encouragement for other moms, but also to help educate the wider community, the people who want to support us or people who don't even know. Like, I was thinking this morning as I was getting ready, my aunt telling me at my son's funeral, she goes, I just didn't even know people lost their babies. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. And she's a grown woman saying this, you know, at my son's funeral. I mean, she's, you know, she's my aunt. She's well older than I am.
Yes.
And she's like, I just didn't know that this happened. And so what are some things that you think the larger community needs to know about this kind of loss? And what would you say to those who want to support parents through the loss of their child?
That's a loaded question, isn't it?
It's a big question. Feel free to like take it in pieces. That's a whole nother book, right? Like,
it is a whole nother book. First of all, if you are a support person, and I don't mean to say this to float my boat, but read my book.
Okay.
Read my book. If you're a support person, learn to be uncomfortable in the discomfort of what's going on. Recognize that it's not comfortable. Recognize you don't have the words to make it comfortable.
That's good.
And I think we need to keep talking to make it bigger. I think this and your organization is amazing because you gather the women, and then those women gather the women, and then the dads get involved because dads lose too.
Yes.
So, like, let's just keep talking, and if baby loss moms can be brave enough to just start saying their story and telling the, for lack of a better term, world, let's do it. Let's build the path for the women behind us who are going to go through this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think even 10 years ago, it was different.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it going. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Even since I started just sharing about my son, I really feel like, especially to go back about finding community, the online community has grown. I would say even in the last year alone has grown phenomenally.
Yeah. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that you have this organization. Love it. I love it.
Thank you. You said something, you said it a couple times now, you've addressed dads. What do you say to dads when they show up in your office?
Dads have the dads that I have met always share the same line, if you will.
Okay.
Is that they have their own feelings and process around their loss, but they feel like they need to set that aside to take care of their wife and make sure she is okay. So I think if we can make room for dads to be messy with their wives, messy, grief filled with their wives, that would offer a lot of healing for them and give them the freedom to not carry the burden alone for their wife.
Yeah.
And right?
Right. I wonder why that is, because I feel like so many women are like, I wish my husband would fill in the blank. I wish he would cry with me. I wish he would talk about our baby. I wish he would, and so what are some of those needs that you found that dads have that maybe as moms we're just not even aware of, that we would want to help them just as much as they want to help us?
I think if we as moms could just sit with our husbands or our partner and just ask them how they are. And when they say things like, I'm fine, I'm just worried about you, if we can turn the conversation just a little bit to, but tell me how you really are. Or grab one of their buddies who is able to be in it with him.
Yeah.
And say, because he won't do this with me, I need you to do this with him.
What a great idea. That never occurred to me ever. But when you're in the middle of your own trauma, you need someone to say, so you need to say to one of his friends, I need to talk to him.
Yes. Because when you're in the middle of your trauma, you can't think outside of how do I just breathe right in this moment. So that's when I say this so flippantly, but that's when you gather your community.
Yeah.
So, and I think looking back on my own experience, my husband didn't have that. Sorry, honey. But when even the mom, when you are able to just sit with him, But yeah, and even, and I don't know if this was true for you, but for me, I just needed people to tell me what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to put him into the equation too. Tell him what he needs. Tell him what he needs. And give him permission to not worry about me for a minute.
The ability to, and I cling to this so tightly now, of don't make my decisions for me, right?
Yes.
When you're just carrying so much, the ability of someone to say, today we're going to take a shower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. All right.
I'm going to give you some water to drink. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so nice to have those people who just make those just basic decisions for you, and sometimes that was my husband. he was the one who was like, "You're gonna shower today."
Yeah. Oh, okay. If I have to, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next question is, where have you seen hope? And what has helped you to heal?
I see hope in, I don't want to sound cliche. I look for hope in, well, so one of my favorite things is to see the sun come behind the cloud, the rays. So that's where I love it. I've always loved it. And that's where I've decided to see hope.
Mm.
I look
You
for
posted
it.
that in your Instagram story yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, couple of days ago.
Recently.
Yeah. That's where I find it. So that's where I look for it. I have a friend who looks for it in sunsets. Love those too. I will, anytime that sun is shining behind a cloud where those rays come. And I don't look for signs. I'm not a big signs person, but when I see hummingbirds, I recognize that that is just going to be my quirky little, I can hold on to that.
Yeah.
Just because. So there's, I think beauty's around us. So let's find it. And there's your hope. Because when kids die, it's not beautiful.
Yes.
But there is beauty out there.
There is. There really is. For me, it's definitely outside in nature too.
Yeah.
I love the combination of reading my Bible outside.
Yes.
Is very, very healing for me. I feel like the Lord speaks the loudest when those two are combined together.
Yes. There's so much peace in that.
Yeah.
Yes. Love that.
We were just recently in Red River, New Mexico, in the mountains, and it's just where I need to be. And not that you have to have like a special place to get away to hear God, but I feel like there's just an extra layer of like, hey, this is my opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah. Yes. And I think it's because I see him more outside. And so I just feel more connected to him outside. So that's where my hope is.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Talk to me about resources. Definitely want you to talk to me about your book.
So I wrote a book that's a resource.
Yes. I want you to talk about your book and kind of like what is it? What drove you? I know what drove you to write the book. But like if there's like one takeaway from your book, what would that be? And then also talk about, before you created this, what were some of the things that helped you and during your grieving process?
Okay. So initially, I think I said this in the book too, so it's not a secret. When I was in the hospital, I made this grand statement: I'm never going to work as a therapist again. Gave my husband a heart attack because he's thinking, oh dear, now what?
Right.
And then I decided, well, I need to write a book because people need to know that. I sound really narcissistic. People need to know my truth.
Yeah.
And so the book was a 10-year journey because I needed to heal a little bit. I didn't want my book to be what all the other books are. I needed my book to be also a resource. I wanted Abby's story out there because I think it's important. And out of Abby's story, I wanted to share how to help people in their own story.
Okay.
So that's how my book came about. and then God opened doors to make it happen. The takeaway from my book, I hope and pray, is that there is hope. So if you're in the very initial stages of this, just hold on to that hope, whether you can see it, whether it is big, if there's just a glimmer of it, please hold on to it. The women before you, we got you. And also, if you're a support person or a therapist, please do these things. Don't do these other things. Do these things.
I love that you provide like the do this, not just don't do that. Like there's enough of that out there. Don't do that.
But let's do this.
What do I do?
Yes. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So that's what I hope my book is for people.
Okay.
That is my prayer around the book. Until my resources, I had friends. I had some really close friends, and I find healing in connection, and I find connection with animals as well. So I found some healing with my dogs, and just learning to like be in the world again, like be grounded in today, be grounded in this moment. I don't need to look forward. I don't need to look for 5 years from now, because as we know, can't do that. I thought I could, but I can't. So I just need to be grounded in today, right in this moment.
That's
so that
good
is
advice.
So that is how I healed. That is how I grew.
Thank you for sharing that. You have a lot of wisdom that I hope people will pick up your book, which is called Hope Beyond an Empty Cradle: The Journey Toward Healing After Stillbirth, Miscarriage, and Child Loss. I love the title of your book. I think that's really beautiful. How did you land on that?
That was a process. Initially, when I was, 2 weeks out from losing Abby, I was like, I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be called Abby's Road. And then I thought that doesn't make sense.
But I kind of like
that. So in talking with my publisher, we came up with the hope, and it was, I wanted the book to be not just hope in this moment, but hope down the road for people. And this is how you get there.
Beautiful.
So that's where the title came from. And then obviously the book cover is God.
With the sunbeams. I love it. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled for you, first of all. I love getting to talk to new authors. I'm just excited. Congratulations. But I just think that you have a lot of wisdom to offer people. So how can they connect with you after this?
I have an Instagram page, Healing with Hallie, MFT. I have a website, HallieScott.com. And that is how you can find me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll definitely encourage people to do that after this. So
thank you. And I'm going to have to put some Gathering Hope on there. This is awesome. I need to put a little button.
We would love that.
Yes, let's button up. We're going to button.
Thank you so much, Hallie. This has been really fun. I appreciate you coming on and sharing Abby with us and your story, and helping other women to heal. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And you are delightful. This has been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.